Economic policies focus on stabilization and standards of living, but controversy and debate may influence the outcome. The possible macroeconomic objectives are economic growth, low unemployment, a low and stable rate of inflation, and balance of payments equilibrium on the current account. Economic growth is the increase in the productive capacity of an economy and is achieved through higher investment, improved technology, and increased consumer and government spending. Low unemployment is where most people who are willing and able to work can find jobs and is achieved through policies that stimulate demand and encourage job creation. A low and stable rate of inflation is where the general price level rises slowly and predictably and is achieved through effective monetary policy and control of the money supply. Balance of payments equilibrium on the current account is where the value of exports equals the value of imports over time and is achieved through increasing international competitiveness and maintaining a stable exchange rate. The different policy instruments that can affect macroeconomic objectives are fiscal policy, monetary policy, supply-side policies, and exchange rate policy. Fiscal policy is the adjustment of levels of government spending and taxation to affect aggregate demand. The nature and impact of fiscal policy on the economy is that changes in government spending and taxation influence aggregate demand, economic growth, and inflation. The nature and impact of fiscal policy on firms is that tax changes affect production costs and profitability, which influence investment decisions and employment. The nature and impact of fiscal policy on economic agents is that changes in direct taxation alter disposable income, which affects consumption and living standards. Monetary policy is the adjustment of interest rates to affect aggregate demand. The nature and impact of monetary policy on the economy is that interest rate changes influence borrowing, spending, and inflation. The nature and impact of monetary policy on firms is that changes in interest rates alter the cost of borrowing, which affects investment and production decisions. The nature and impact of monetary policy on economic agents is that interest rate changes affect mortgage repayments, savings returns, and consumption choices. Supply-side policies are taxes, benefits, education and training, grants and subsidies, and infrastructure. The nature and impact of supply-side policies on the economy is that they increase productivity and potential output, which leads to long-term economic growth. The nature and impact of supply-side policies on firms is that lower taxes and subsidies reduce business costs while improved infrastructure supports efficiency. The nature and impact of supply-side policies on economic agents is that education and training improve skills, which increase employability and income. Exchange rate policy is the management of a country's currency value in the foreign exchange market. The nature and impact of exchange rate policy on the economy is that changes in the exchange rate affect export and import prices, which influence the balance of payments and aggregate demand. The nature and impact of exchange rate policy on firms is that a depreciation increases competitiveness for exporters but raises costs for import-dependent firms. The nature and impact of exchange rate policy on economic agents is that exchange rate movements affect the prices of imported goods, which influence purchasing power and living costs. The potential conflict and trade-off between inflation and unemployment is that policies designed to reduce unemployment often increase inflation, while policies to reduce inflation can cause higher unemployment. The potential conflict and trade-off between economic growth and negative externalities is that policies promoting growth can increase production and consumption, leading to greater environmental damage and social costs. The issues governments face in managing the macroeconomy are balancing economic stability and growth, because interventions to promote growth can create inflationary pressure or worsen inequality. The issues governments face in managing the macroeconomy are reducing public debt and maintaining fiscal responsibility, because austerity policies can restrict growth and increase unemployment. The issues governments face in managing the macroeconomy are controlling inflation, because raising interest rates to reduce inflation can also discourage investment and consumer spending. The Keynesian perspective influences macroeconomic policy decisions by promoting government intervention to stabilize demand and reduce unemployment. The monetarist perspective influences macroeconomic policy decisions by prioritizing control of the money supply to manage inflation and ensure long-term stability. The supply-side perspective influences macroeconomic policy decisions by encouraging production and investment through tax cuts and deregulation to drive growth and reduce unemployment. The likely effects of interest rate cuts on unemployment are an increase in borrowing and spending that can boost employment, but they may also lead to inflation and asset bubbles as unintended consequences. The likely effects of higher taxation on inflation are reduced consumer spending that may lower inflation, but they may unintentionally discourage investment and reduce economic growth. Thank you for watching this video on Introduction to Macroeconomic Policy. I'll see you in the next one.